You gotta come celebrate the best tacos in Texas at the Texas Monthly Taco Fest on June 7th at Discovery Green. You'll get to sample some of the best taquerias around as appointed by the one and only Texas Monthly Taco Editor. This celebration of the 50 best tacos in Texas is gonna feature live music, drinks, and my favorite part, all the tacos you can handle and more. Get your tickets now at texasmonthly.com/tacofest. Need a fun free indoor activity? Well, the Contemporary Arts Museum has you covered with its new exhibition, Out of Stock. This inspiring exhibit features work from Houston teens and was curated and created by CAM's 14th Teen Council. The artwork really makes you think and reflect on big ideas like consumerism and identity. Out of Stock is made by teens, but everyone will enjoy it. The exhibit is running now until October 19th, so head to camh.org to learn more. And don't forget, CAM is always free. I'll see you there. Today on CityCast Houston, there's one fast food restaurant that just screams Texas. The orange and white stripes, the table tents, and of course, the fancy ketchup.
Hello, welcome to Whataburger. My name is Karen. Would you like to try honey butter chicken biscuit?
That's right. Whataburger is turning 75 years old this year. But is it still the same since it went national? I get into it with Omar Gallaga, who writes about culture in Texas and once upon a time worked at Whataburger. It's Wednesday, May 21st. I'm Raheel Ramzanali, and here's what Houston's talking about. Omar, you are a Whataburger historian, I feel like. You work there, as I mentioned. So I need to know right out the gate, what is your favorite thing to order at Whataburger?
A Whata historian, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've got a patty melt here on my desk that I really like. I like their all-time favorite patty melt. But when I worked at Whataburger in high school in Midwest City, Oklahoma, my friends and I created the Omi Burger, which is just a single Whataburger with cheese. Actually, I think it's a double with ketchup, lettuce, grilled onions, and toasted bun.
Oh, that sounds good.
So that is the Omi Burger.
It's so funny you're eating a patty melt right now because that's my favorite thing to order at Whataburger. And in fact, here's a fun story for you. I actually shot a commercial for Whataburger where they brought me in because every year on my birthday, I would go celebrate with a patty melt because it is so bad for you. Let's just be honest, right? It's like almost 1,000 calories. There's, I believe, 60 grams of fat in it. So it was my splurge. It was my little indulgence every year on my birthday. And they were looking for people to share their stories about Whataburger. So, they put out an open call on Twitter. And I was like, hey, I do this every year. And they're like, cool, come share this story with us. I went on a commercial set and we shot it. And they didn't use the commercial, Omar.
Oh, not even on social media? Nowhere?
Nowhere.
Oh, you're kidding.
In fact, yeah, if you watch TV and you see these Whataburger commercials, there's a guy who talks about how his wife always takes his Whataburger order from him at the airport. And they were there shooting that at the same time. And it's been running now for 10 years almost. So I could have been Whata famous for 10 years, but they didn't pick my story.
Not even a TikTok. That's disappointing.
Nothing. And every once in a while, I'll shoot him a tweet like, hey, you should post my commercial because I want to see what it looked like. But, those are the stories, right? Like we all have these really cool stories about Whataburger. How Texas would you say Whataburger is? It seems like for a while, it was the official food of Texas. And we all have these moments from Whataburger.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up on it. I grew up in South Texas, and it was never not there. It's been there my entire life. I in the story that I wrote for the Washington Post, I mentioned that my grandmother had the nickel mug that you used to get in the 1980s. Oh, yeah. This little coffee-colored mug that you'd get nickel refills of coffee at Whataburger, and that has been in her kitchen since I was a baby, since I was little. Wow. And it's always just been there. So, in my family, Whataburger's always loomed large. And there's also Sonic and there's also McDonald's and, there's other fast food. But Whataburger was just always a constant presence. Even in the small town where my family's from Westlake, Texas, there's a Whataburger. There's Whataburger in all those tiny towns across South Texas. So, it definitely looms large if you're from Texas. And I hear this all the time from people who have left, expatriates, people who used to live in Texas. First thing I do when I'm coming back is getting a Whataburger. They miss it when they're not here. But the Whataburger sort of coming to them as the brand keeps expanding nationwide. You have one now in Las Vegas. You have them in North Carolina and in Atlanta. They're expanding nationwide. There's I think over 1,400 of them now across the country.
Yeah, but how did it become so popular and so Texas, right? Because in the 80s and 90s, it seemed like for a while it wasn't as iconic as it is right now, but it's become one of the brands that Texas is really known for.
Yeah, there's two Whataburger books that they have published with their story, and there's a lot of repetition between the two. I have them right here on my bookshelf, but they acknowledge in the book that, like, yeah, in the '90s, in the '80s, we kind of lost our way. We were not as strong a brand as we are now. I think really the age of social media, the age of online. Where you could start to order Whataburger online, where you start to see these, TikToks and videos and things
Mhm.
of Whataburger fandom, the merchandising. I think it really roared back to life in the late 2000s, early 2010s.
Mhm.
And I remember meeting with someone because I was like big on Twitter in those early days. And I remember someone who worked at the brand, said, "Hey, you should meet up with them and talk to them about social media." And they just weren't that interested. They just were not
Oh,
embracing
wow.
it yet. And then maybe 2 years later, like they just seemed to explode on social media. They were everywhere, and the colors and the branding and the merchandise and
Yeah.
the clothes and all that like just seemed to kind of explode online. So I don't know if it's like a Texas pride thing, but you go anywhere in the country wearing those colors, the orange and white, people recognize it. People see it. They can see it from a mile away.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like it really became more iconic with social media, with the branding, right? And there was like collaborations they've done. James Avery, by the way, they did a collaboration so you could actually get Whataburger charms. I know Wranglers is doing one right now as well. And it's just like those colors became such a big thing. It became almost like our new state colors. And social media definitely helped them in that. Even with that, I think it was also at that time, like I'm going to say around 2010 to about 2015, it was also the food just got better, it seemed like. I don't know. I don't know if that's the case or not, but for me at least, that's when about the time I was like, oh, Whataburger's actually good again.
Yeah, they started getting a little bit more adventurous with their menu. They started doing things like the chicken strip sandwich. I know they were doing salads for a while and like fajita tacos. I mean, when I worked in high school, we had those. We had the
Mhm.
chicken fajita tacos. Yeah, it feels like their menu, and then I think they really hit something with the all time favorites, like because it used to just be the basic, Whataburger. Either you got Whataburger or you got the fish sandwich
Mhm.
or a chicken sandwich. That was pretty much your option. But when they started doing these double burgers with the all time favorites, the A1, Thick and Hearty, all of those. I think those really caught on,
Yeah.
and that's sort of when you started seeing that rise in popularity
Yeah.
with these all-time menu items, like the patty melt.
Yeah. And that rise in popularity played into like very personal stories for people who live in Texas, right? And we all have so many great memories. And I want to share one classic memory from my colleague, producer Carleon Jones, from when she was in high school in Bay City.
When I was in high school, I was so obsessed with Whataburger that it was actually my prom proposal. Like, I know it might sound a little bit crazy, but my prom date actually got a poster made that looked like one of the number tents that you get whenever they're trying to call your order. He dressed up in that and then brought me my favorite Whataburger order. And that's how I got asked out to prom. I would show y'all the pictures, but they were embarrassing. So we're going to keep those in the archive. But yes, I love Whataburger and it's been a huge part of my life forever.
Okay, Omar, two things real quickly. Have you ever stolen one of those Whataburger tents?
No, I would never.
No.
But I
Okay.
will
All
say when
right.
I do have it as swag though, because when I was working on the story for the Washington Post, I visited the flagship location in Corpus
Mhm.
Christi, which is along I think they call it Whataburger on the Bay. It's right on the water, right? I think I counted like 58 paces from the door
Mhm.
to the water.
Yeah.
But I was there and they actually gave me a tent to take home.
Okay. So you got one
So I was
legally.
like, so I have one. I have one, but I have had lots of friends that have
Oh, yeah.
taken them, and I do not condone that at all. Don't take the tents. You can buy them. They sell them.
Yeah, like, I don't know. It's so much fun to take it. Carly's prom date found inspiration with that tent. Her story is just like one of million, I feel like. Like everybody has a deeply personal story, right?
I think they really lean into that. I mean, I interviewed the former CEO of last year before he left, and he said that's really what the whole brand is about. Like they really lean into that everybody has these family rituals or family stories, or going after the football games on a Friday night,
Mhm.
or the late night, 2 a.m, hangover cure for the next day. Like people just have these sort of rituals with Whataburger and family stories, and that they really, really want to keep building that as they expand. And it gets harder and harder for them. I think in Texas, people automatically grew up with it. It's always been there. When they're entering these new markets like Kansas City or Atlanta, like they have to build that from scratch. They have to build those memories and get people into those rituals and get people excited about the brand and making it a part of their lives. That's a much bigger challenge than just than kind of building on what you've already had for 75 years in Texas.
But not only that, like, yeah, building in new markets is tough, but I think also here locally, right? Like keeping those fans and keeping them excited about Whataburger, right? As they celebrate 75 years this year, there are some challenges that they're facing. They went national in 2019, and some Texans think that it's not the same, including this guy, Lance, I met in a Whataburger parking lot as he was eating a meal. I asked him about that. Like, do you think it's the same?
To be honest, ever since it wasn't family owned by a Texas company anymore, it has fallen off just a little bit. It's not really like changed too much, except for its consistency. It's way less consistent now. And that's probably the biggest issue. But when it hits, it hits.
What do you think, Omar? Agree or disagree?
Yeah. Here's where we get into a fight.
Yep.
And I actually had the incoming CEO of Whataburger yell at me on the phone after my story ran, because the crux of the story was, have they lost a step? Is the quality going downhill? And part of the impetus for the story was in 2021, 2022, kind of after the stores had reopened through the pandemic and, they were kind of getting back on their feet. You started seeing these stories on Reddit. You started seeing local stations kind of covering this, of like these threads of, has Whataburger gone downhill? Is the quality going down? Has the food changed? And, I interviewed people. I talked to them. I talked to people online. And the company insists like nothing has changed. We're making the food exactly as we always have. We have the same production, the same kind of meat. It's the same. Nothing has changed. Maybe people's tastes have changed. But you talk to people like my parents, they're diehard ride or die Whataburger fans. They stopped eating it like a year ago because they swear that something has changed with the meat. They swear it. And I'm like, I don't taste a difference. I still eat it. They said, we just can't digest it anymore. Like, we can't eat this meat. Something changed. It's too dense now. I'm like, okay.
Something has changed. Omar, something has changed. As I mentioned, like, I was a huge Whataburger fan. I would eat that patty melt on my birthday every single year. That was my thing. I haven't gone in the last 2 years because the patty melt isn't the same. Every time I go, the bread isn't as good. Like, it's soggier. It's just like, I don't know. It just doesn't feel right. I don't know if it's the quality of the meat. I know they haven't changed the quality of the meat. You wrote that in your story, and they swear by it. Like, the quality is the same. It just doesn't hit anymore for me. The quality, something is off.
And they get very mad when you tell them.
I know they do.
And and they got mad at me for this story. They're like, we don't like the headline. We don't like the first sentence. Like, they were trying to get us to change the story after it ran. And, the story generated, I think, something like 11 or 1,200 comments on the Washington Post website. And I was like, yeah, go read those comments. Like, those are people that are still eating it and still feel that way. They are still fans. They still like the brand. But even they're saying something is different. Like, something doesn't hit the same.
And the other part of this, okay, the food might not be the same. The wait times aren't the same. They're horrible now at Whataburger. It's so frustrating. So not only is it that the food isn't the same and you might not get a great product, right? Again, that's one person's opinion, but the wait times suck.
I feel like that's always been an issue. I remember, 15 years ago, I was sitting for 20 minutes in the drive-thru, or when my kids were little, I was sitting in that drive-thru. My solution is I never do the drive-thru anymore. I do curbside. Like, I will order ahead online, pick it up curbside. I've had to walk in the store and go get my curbside order because it never came out. Even after I checked in, I've had that happen before, and they're always like apologetic about it. But generally, curbside is the best option for ordering.
Ready for a summer escape that feels like a hidden gem? You gotta check out Boerne, Texas. If you're dreaming of winding roads, shady creekside strolls, and sweeping hill country views, then Boerne is calling your name. Located just outside of San Antonio, Boerne is your gateway to nature without sacrificing comfort or style. And this town really shows off during the summer with live music, outdoor markets, car shows, and more. There's something happening every weekend. And their food is way beyond your average small town. They have chef-driven restaurants, craft breweries, wine bars, and more. And you can't enjoy a Texas hill country town without a charming, walkable downtown. Boerne also has that. Slow down and explore their locally owned shops, art galleries, and beautifully preserved buildings. They're also launching a new passport to help you map out the latest in sipping, dining, and shopping in Boerne. Start planning your trip at visitboerne.org. Boerne, Texas, an elevated hill country experience. You only have 2 more Sundays left to enjoy Jazzy Sundays in the Park at the Waterworks lawn at Buffalo Bayou Park. Jazzy Sundays in the Park has become one of my favorite events in H-Town because I get to sit back with my wife and take in some great jazz music while our daughters hang out with kids from across the city. It's truly a community event celebrating H-Town, and it's all free. Performances are from 5 to 7 p.m., so it's the perfect way to end your weekend on a high note and soak up Houston's vibrant culture and jazz heritage. You only have 2 more Sundays left to check out these great local musicians, so grab a blanket and some chairs and head to Jazzy Sundays in the Park for an afternoon of live jazz and community. Find the full schedule of performances at buffalobayou.org. Whataburger, yes, it feels like it's changing. People aren't as high on it as they once were, but there's still fans of Whataburger out there. And one Whata fan, Casey, she still really loves Whataburger. She loves their honey butter. And here's why Whataburger is still special for her.
One of my favorite memories at Whataburger, probably when I was in high school, all my friends would come here after games and stuff like that. And one time we had won a really important game. So we all were here and all my friends were, at Whataburger, and we were here all day and all night long. That was probably my favorite memory here at Whataburger.
Omar, that clip got me thinking. Whataburger has always been a place where we go hang out after a sports game, right? It's like a fellowship. It's a place where we go debrief after a big tournament or a big night out, whatever it may be. Is it still that place? It just doesn't seem like the hangout spot anymore. And maybe that's because of COVID. Maybe it's more people are just using the drive-through now. What do you think?
I think it depends on the location, and I think this also goes to the quality issue. Is that also I think depends on the location. That there are some Whataburger locations that just have better staffing and are on it more, and you don't have those long delays in the drive-through. But it depends. I mean, like I said, when I went to the Corpus Christi location, the flagship, I went on a Friday around lunchtime. Did not announce myself. I just walked in. Teenagers all upstairs, hanging out, having a good time, sitting, 10 kids to around a big table. There was a bus trip from a senior center that was there with all people that were going to the Selena Museum.
Oh wow!
And had just come from there, and we're excited from that. So you still get those tours, you still get kids. I think especially in small towns, it's still a hangout. But the thing that's happening throughout Texas, and I think throughout the country, is that there's just way more burger competition. There's way more burger brands than there were even 10 years ago. And even in Texas, one of the upstarts that I really like is P. Terry's. P. Terry's is a big deal in Austin, and they've started expanding to Houston and San Antonio, and they're real good. I don't know if you had P. Terry's, but if I have to choose between Whataburger and P. Terry's, that's a tough choice. They're sort of the in and out of Texas.
That's such a great point, right? The competition, and it's funny you bring up P. Terry's. Me personally as well, I live in Richmond, Texas, okay? And there's a Whataburger about 5 minutes from me. Guess what's opening about 30 seconds from that location? A P. Terry's.
Yeah.
And guess where I'm going if I have to choose between P. Terry's or Whataburger?
Yeah.
I'm taking P. Terry's 100%.
I mean, my daughters will quibble with the fries. They don't like the fries from P. Terry's, but they love the burgers. They love the shakes. And sometimes we've even done the move of going to P. Terry's, getting the burgers, and then going to McDonald's to get the fries. We've done that move.
Okay. That's big back activity, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. They're very particular about fries.
So is it because that competition is ramping up? There are better options out there. Is that something that could hurt Whataburger here in the future?
I mean, better is arguable. There are people that will say that there's not a substitute for Whataburger, but there is In-N-Out, there is P. Terry's, there's of course McDonald's, and the other the Wendy's and the bigger national brands. There's Five Guys, there's Smash Burger. I mean, there's so many big burger brands now, and you keep thinking, well, surely some of these are going to go out of business because there's just too many burger places. People eat a lot of burgers. I mean, San Antonio has like 4 or 5 other chains that most people have never heard of, but are very popular. And, we just got a Fat Burger here in New Braunfels that just opened up. And I'm like, who's eating all these burgers? People eat a lot of burgers.
We're eating a lot of burgers, and, maybe we're going to go eat a lot of burgers at Whataburger because of that 75-year anniversary menu. And there's some pretty cool things on there. Is there anything that's hooked you? Like you want to go back, especially somebody who worked at Whataburger?
I always get burned by the mushroom and Swiss burger because I always think like, I like mushrooms, I like Swiss, I'm gonna head right, and I always eat it. I'm like, oh, that's not very good. like I always get tricked by that burger because I love mushrooms. They came out with one last year that I think that was the double blaze or something like that. And that was really good. Like I got to try that right before it came out when I was visiting Whataburger headquarters. And that one hit really well. And I remember ordering it a couple of times, but it never came back. So I think you're mostly just looking at kind of the all-time favorites kind of rotating in and out for the years to come. I don't know how much more burger innovation there is to be done. I know they've gotten adventures with like green chili burgers, jalapeno burgers, like that. They've gotten more into that. And I know you can get a green chili burger year round in El Paso if you're in El Paso.
Oh, yeah.
But they keep trying. I mean, water wings are very controversial. Like that's a new menu item from the last couple of years that people just don't seem to be locking into, even though they keep pushing it and pushing it. I've gotten many free coupons for water wings in the Whataburger app. And
oh my gosh, so many.
Every time I get them, I'm always like, oh, I should have gotten a burger.
I never get them. I'm like, if I'm going to go to Whataburger, I'm going to order a burger, right? Like if I want wings from a fast food joint, right, quote unquote, it's Wingstop for me, right? Like it's just, I know it's going to be better. But yeah, there seems to be like that debate, like some innovations work, some don't. And that happens. It's okay. That Monterey Melt, though, that one, I will say, is one that I do like.
That is good. I have had that. Yeah, that is really good.
Yeah, that is good. And that's on that menu as well.
Yeah, I'm just a sucker for like a buy one, get one or a free burger with fry and drink purchase. Like I'm just a sucker for those coupons and I always fall for it every time. Like, what? Free water wings? I'll eat free water wings. And then I have them like, oh, I shouldn't eat the free water wings.
Omar, people might be listening and they're like, okay, this has turned into a, bash session on Whataburger. But I want to zoom back a little bit because yes, a lot of Texans are frustrated with Whataburger, but at the same time, they're doing some really cool stuff. Like their app, I contend, is one of the best apps in general, not fast food. It's very good. Like I love using their app. It's so easy. In fact, we were using the app in the city of Houston during Hurricane Beryl to see where power outages were. Like it was more reliable than Centerpoint's map, right? And they've got the classic menu items for the anniversary and, they bring back things and people do get excited. What have you heard from people that keeps them going back to Whataburger? The positives.
Yeah, you got the little sliders for the light ice. I like that.
Yeah.
And the condiment menu. And all that. Yeah, their app is really good. What I hear from people about why they keep going to Whataburger, even though the prices have gone up, they're still fairly reasonable, especially with all the promos and the coupons that they do. If you have the app and you get reward points, you're going to end up getting some free burgers, some free breakfast items. Like you will build up those points and get offers.
Omar, that's so funny because that's exactly what a friend of the show, Scott, told us.
I don't know if it's inflation or if it's being bought by that private equity firm, but I got to spend more than $10 to get a cheeseburger and fries and a drink now, which is, it's a lot of money. But I love the point system. It's driven by the dollars you spend. And what I end up doing is I'll buy like a breakfast sandwich with my points, and then I'll pay for the drink and the fries separately. And it really feels like I'm saving money that way.
Omar, is Whataburger trying anything else out to hook people or bring them back?
They're really trying hard to expand into gourmet coffee and I don't know if that's very successful, but I think like you said, like it keeps coming back to people's traditions, that people grew up with it, that they just have a taste for it. And for those that don't detect a change, that don't feel like the food has changed, like they they still love it. Like, that's the thing I keep hearing again and again is the people that say, for me, nothing has changed. It tastes exactly the same as what I remember, and that's why I like it.
And that's why, this is such a fun debate and so much fun to talk about. One question that we always bring up with Whataburger, and I have to ask you, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Oh,
what's better, Whataburger or In-N-Out?
Oh, God, that's easy for me. But my girlfriend who lives in North Carolina and is a diehard In-N-Out burger will make me go get In-N-Out, like, despite me. Like, she likes it. She prefers In-N-Out. I prefer Whataburger to In-N-Out. I think In-N-Out is very mid. I find if I'm going to eat In-N-Out, I might as well get P. Terry's, because to me, P. Terry's is like a fresher, better version of In-N-Out. Although I have had the dirty In-N-Out, like the big tray of burger with the dirty fries and all that, and that's actually pretty killer. But you can't eat that all the time. That'll kill you.
I will say a double In-N-Out burger, animal style, with no lettuce, no tomatoes, extra onions. It contends with Whataburger's patty melt for me personally.
I mean, I'll eat In-N-Out. I don't hate it, but like it always disappoints me. I always feel like, I could be eating a P. Terry's, or I could be eating an all-time favorite from Whataburger. I always feel like regret.
That's totally fair. Omar, another thing I've noticed about Whataburger now is that everywhere you go, whether it be the grocery store, in-state or out of state, you see those iconic sauces for sale, ready to go. That's been a big thing for them, right? Like, not only obviously from like the marketing and revenue standpoint, but also keeping some of that brand loyalty with Texans who don't live here anymore.
Yeah, that was a very successful move for them, was to get into kind of the grocery condiment business with their fancy ketchup, the spicy ketchup. They do the honey butter. You can get that in stores. My favorite is the patty melt sauce. It's a pepper sauce. That I have it. I always have that in my fridge. So yeah, that has been a big part of their business, and I think again that goes to the iconography of the brand. Like you see that Whataburger logo on the ketchup bottle in the grocery store from the end of the aisle. It stands out. I think they've done a very, very good job of kind of the colors, the icons, the kind of the look of it, and just getting that in front of people, and people will buy it. Like most homes in Texas, I think, have a bottle of ketchup from Whataburger somewhere in the house.
Or they've got about 50 Whataburger ketchup packets in a drawer that is just always sitting there, because that's me. We always keep them.
Yeah, but those go bad eventually. Like, you can't keep those forever. Like those turning a little bit dark and murky.
Omar, let's look forward to the future. Do you think Whataburger is going to be around to celebrate 100 years?
I think so. They keep expanding and they keep growing. They're getting into new states like North Carolina, like Missouri, other places. I think they're going to keep expanding. I think there's enough Texans out there that want it, that will keep going back to it, even if they don't get as many new people. I think there's enough expatriate Texans across the country to support it. So I think it's going to just keep growing and expanding. I think they got to keep the quality and the kind of the service, because I think that's where it falls short for some people. And I know they acknowledge that in Kansas City, they just did not enter the market correctly. Like, they just didn't have good service. There were long lines. People were frustrated. They need to do a better job with the training and the service part of things, and, kind of build that experience back up.
Well, maybe even bring it back here, some of the training, because the Whataburger on 610 and 90 here in Houston, I tell people, like, if you want to lose your mind, go to that Whataburger, okay? Because you will be waiting for about an hour. So if you just truly want to lose your mind, go to that one.
I mean, one thing they have experimented with, and I mentioned this in the story too, is they have a location in Austin that is completely automated. Like, cool. I mean, there's people making the food, but like, you don't have the counter. You don't go up and order. Like, it's all online orders. And I forget what they call it. I think it's like a test kitchen type kind of concept. And I think there's only the one. I haven't heard about any additional ones, but like, that might be a future avenue for Whataburger, is sort of these things where you don't interact with people. You don't wait in line. Everything is online orders. You just grab it and pick it up, like a test kitchen. Like, that might be a thing.
That'd be beautiful.
Yeah, but do you really want that? Because there's don't you want like the 90-year-old lady bringing you your tray at your table, and you want some more ketchup?
I don't know. After work at 11 p.m. on a Friday night, I don't actually. I kind of want to just get my food without waiting for 45 minutes, please.
That's why I do curbside, to avoid all that. But I have eaten inside, dined in at Whataburger, and there's characters, and there's always, the person that's been working there for 35 years, and is elderly and will come to your table and start a conversation with you. Like, I like that. Like, that's that warm fuzzy feeling.
I agree with you. Those are the reasons why I also go back every once in a while. It reminds me of the friendliness of Texas, right? It reminds me of the charm of why I like living here in this state. And for me, my Whataburger, like I'll see kids from the high school, talk to them. That's what it's about. Omar, this conversation was so much fun. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, I enjoyed it so much. And yeah, I will always talk your ear off about Whataburger. So thank you for having me.
That was Omar Gallaga. He writes about tech and culture in Texas, and he's a patty melt lover like myself. So do you think I got it wrong? Do you think Whataburger is still Whataburger? Send me a message on Instagram at CityCastHouston and tell me why. Plus, while you're there, you can enter our giveaway for a one-night stay at Margaritaville Lake Resort on Lake Conroe. Also, share this episode with 3 friends who you used to go to Whataburger with in high school. And drop us a rating and review wherever you're currently listening to CityCast Houston. And please subscribe to the show if you haven't yet. Want more Houston news, food wrecks, and happenings? Subscribe to our daily newsletter, Hey Houston, with the info in our show notes. Thanks. That will do it for today. I'm Raheel Ramzanali. Thank you for listening, and please pull up to the second window.
My dad is the host of CityCast Houston, and my favorite thing about Whataburger is their onion rings.
What's your favorite memory about Whataburger?
During the pandemic, me and my dad used to always go play tennis, and after we used to always get Whataburger.